Hi, it's Owen from D20. As promised, I'm coming back with a more comprehensive response to the debate around the video that I posted, was it a week ago, about how to select which deck you want to play at a Magic tournament. And it spurred a lot of conversation in various different forums. I've been inundated by private messages on Facebook and Discord and Twitter and all kinds of places. And it's been a fascinating discussion, and I've learned a lot about people's ideas and perspectives around this thing. But I thought that I'd collate those ideas into a short list of summaries and give my thoughts on what I think of the response that I've seen so far. So the responses that I've received fall generally into four different categories. The first one is agreement. People who simply think that what I said had merit, and yeah, me, cool. You guys and me, we're cool. The second one was apologies. Now that would upset me a little bit. Some people who said not everybody outright apologized, but I had a few messages from people saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I played you that one time at that one FNM at that one place, and I didn't realize that I was doing." No, there's really no need to apologize. I don't think anybody's done anything explicitly wrong. Nothing that anybody has done that I've seen warrants an apology. I'm not suggesting that there's been a massive wrongdoing or that anybody's been hurt or injured in some way. What I'm doing is I'm proposing a different way of thinking about things going forward, ways that we can improve our approach to things and possibly even improve our community as we go. So please, no apologies. But what it does mean, though, and I'm pleased about this, is that there are people who have heard my message and they're internalizing it. They're thinking about it and they're evaluating their own actions and their own decisions, both past and present, in terms of the framework that I've set up so far. And that's great. I encourage that. That's kind of the whole point of making the video to begin with. So apologies not necessary, but I'm glad that you guys are thinking about it. The third response is what I call the commander argument, which is that well, Commander is a casual format, so if you like casual Magic, you should go play Commander and leave Modern and Standard to the more competitive players. I don't entirely disagree with that. Commander is inherently a more casual format. I love Commander. It happens to be my favorite format. And the reason I like it is because it tends to be more casual. But that doesn't mean that Commander is immune to this phenomenon that I've noticed. I didn't mention Commander specifically in my previous video because Commander is inherently more casual. It's less competitive. It's a lot harder to identify which are the competitive players versus the casual players. But that stratification does definitely exist within Commander. I think it's less severe, and I think if you're into casual Magic, Commander is a good direction that you might want to head in. Nothing wrong with that. But I also don't think that it's a one-stop solution. I think we can do better. And the fourth argument is what kind of made me a little bit upset, and that's kind of, it's the reason why I made the video to begin with, is the get good or get the fuck out argument. The idea being that, okay, so inexperienced and mediocre players, or let's be kinder in the way we put that, let's say beginner to intermediate players who come into a competitive scene like Standard or Modern Magic, they should be looking to these more advanced and more sophisticated players as an inspiration to improve their game and to build better decks and to become better Magic players. Now, again, I can't entirely disagree with that, and I'm sure that to a lot of players that's completely valid. When they remember coming into the scene themselves and they saw these more advanced players and they wanted to improve their game to get good to win the tournaments, and I can see how that could be a motivating factor to a lot of players, perhaps even most players. But what that fails to grasp is that what I perhaps failed to articulate in my previous video is that there's a separate category of players who not only are beginner intermediate level players now, but they want to remain beginner intermediate level players forever. They have no interest in advancing their skill. They have no interest in winning tournaments. That's not something that they want to do. They want to be able to win individual games. They want to come to an FNM and have 5 or 6 rounds and not feel like they've embarrassed themselves. I don't think that's a bad thing to want, but in terms of actually winning the night, that's not really a goal for them. They don't really want to be in the top 100 players in the South African ladder. That's not something that they're interested in. And you might, some of the guys who are more competitive players might be shaking their head in disbelief that somebody could feel this way. But the fact is, there are a lot of people who feel like that. Frankly, I feel that way. I'm one of those players. I tried my hand at building a competitive modern deck, and I made some headway with it. I didn't get all the way to the top. I don't think I ever actually won an FNM, even at my own venue. Um, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with never having won an FNM. It would be nice to win one someday, but it's not a goal of mine. I'm more interested in playing and having some fun with fellow hobbyists that are also interested in this thing that I'm interested in. And I'm far from the only one. Most of the players that I know fall kind of sort of in that category, perhaps to a greater or a lesser degree. Um, and what I've been getting over the last couple of months since we closed down D20, or at least closed down the club D20, is I've been getting messages from some of these players who feel a little bit lost. These very same players who used to come to D20 because that was the kind of vibe that we created at the club, was a vibe that was friendly both to the competitive players and to these kind of beginner intermediate players. They could play in the same event and everyone would feel cool about it. At least that's what I aim to try and provide, and I think we managed to get that right a fair amount of the time. I'm satisfied with the way that we managed to pitch that. But a lot of those beginner intermediate players have been contacting me in the time since, saying that they feel like they don't have a place anymore. And that's not to say that the other tournament venues around Joburg haven't stepped up and tried to open their doors to our former players and welcome them in. But the competitive vibe that exists in pretty much all of those other venues is a little bit alienating to these confirmed intermediate players. These players who have no interest in advancing, have no interest in playing at a tier 1 level. They'll show up at an FNM at just about any of the other venues, and they'll feel intimidated and discouraged, and they probably won't go back again. And that's disappointing because not only for that venue have they lost a potential future customer, but the scene as a whole has lost a potential competitive player, or at least a potential casual player. And it helps a little bit to try and funnel those players off into Commander, what with Commander being a more casually friendly format, and that works for some of them. But even then, once they get to Commander, they'll come up against somebody that has a ridiculously overpowered deck, and they'll be demoralized by having to face that, and that might chase them away for good, or at least for a while. And we don't want that either. That's not a pleasant experience. So what I'm proposing here is this framework that I've started to outline here is creating a space where these beginner intermediate players can play in a casual level and still be involved in the community, still be involved in the organized play, and still be able to hang out with everybody else at Friday Night Magic on a weekly basis, but without necessarily having to face these more competitive decks. And I'm not suggesting that we ban competitive decks, far from it. I'm not even suggesting that you guys who enjoy playing at a tier 1 level, that you should necessarily leave your tier 1 deck at home. What I'm suggesting is that maybe we come up with a better way of perhaps stratifying these events, having a competitive level at the top and a casual level at the middle, and maybe even have a third beginner level at the bottom for people who are new to the game. That might be the friendlier way of doing things, having more options instead of fewer options. Instead of chasing people away, we create extra spaces for these people to move into. And there's one more tricky element about this whole idea that I didn't really want to mention, but I suppose we may as well get it out there. And it's the question of women in Magic. And now, frankly, of this group, of this beginner intermediate player group, most of the women I know who play Magic, at least in the community that I've seen, and I'm not pretending to be pretending that my experience is necessarily representative of the global community, but it certainly seems to be around the Joburg Magic community. Most of the women who play Magic in the Joburg Magic community are in that category, in the casual intermediate category. So what that means is, if we don't, as a group, as a community, make space for that group, that kind of player to exist, we're almost by default excluding all those female players. Now, I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing, but it is a stated goal of Wizards of the Coast and of the Judges Program and of plenty of people within the community that I've spoken to individually, that we want more women to play Magic. Because why wouldn't we? You know, women are welcome. This is a thing that everybody should be able to enjoy, and we want to share this with everyone that we can. And alienating an entire group of the population seems like a bad idea. It seems like a growth limiting opportunity. At least a missed opportunity for growth. So what I'm saying is that it's not a trivial thing how we respond to this existence of a beginner intermediate modern Magic community. And not only is it non-trivial, but it has real consequences for a real significant portion of the Magic community, and that we really need to come up with a solution that works. So what I'm going to do is, even though I'm in Cape Town now, I'm going to be running an event at some point in the next few weeks. You'll have to watch our Facebook page for details. I'm going to be running an event at a non-Magic venue, somewhere out in the world at a coffee shop or something like that, aimed specifically at those beginner intermediate players. It's going to be a non-competitive event. There won't be pairings. There might be some random prize support like we used to do in the D20 days, but there won't be any pairings. There won't be any ladder. There won't be any winning the day. The whole focus of the event will be bring your cards, come and play, let's have fun. And it would be great if someone would be interested in bringing a few welcome decks along, so you could introduce some new players to the game. But the idea is, this is a casual Magic day. Obviously I won't be there in person to run it myself, unfortunately. I'd love that. But what we'll probably have is one of our old demigods from the D20 club days will be running it, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. I wish I could be there, but I'm looking forward to helping find a safe space for these beginner intermediate players. I know, safe space. Yeah, I know. But that's kind of what it is. We're creating a place where these kinds of players can feel safe in the way that they play the game, without feeling intimidated, without feeling demoralized. And I think that's an important step. I don't know if this is necessarily the solution. Somebody else might have better ideas, and I'd love to have them. Again, more comments below. There's a lively thread going on in the Magic the Gathering South Africa Facebook group, or you can join us on Discord. We can chat about it there. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your disagreements. I want to hear your arguments. That's all great, and it's all part of an important conversation that can help us advance and grow the Magic community in perpetuity. All right, so one quick note of housekeeping for my patrons. This isn't my big video for the week. I'll be doing a Star Trek Apologetics. That'll be going up tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night for the patrons, where everybody else will be getting it on Monday. And I'll probably do a couple of other of these small little update videos during the course of this week, which is not a normal thing. I don't plan to be doing these update videos frequently, but when the need arises, I'll be doing that. I've got an important announcement that'll be coming out later this week, so watch for that. It'll be in a video and various other posts in other places. Otherwise, that's it for now. Swat out.